Following the change of guard of the Military High Command by the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, the handing over ceremony from the outgoing to the incoming officers have been duly executed. The immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Sabundu Badeh, handed over to his successor, Major General A.G. Olonishaki, at a ceremony which was carried out with military dispatch but not devoid of the finesse and discipline the military is noted for. What turned out to be the most significant last national assignment performed by the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh, in his 38 years of service in the military, defending the territorial integrity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in different command positions, in which he acquitted himself in flying colors. Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh's 18-month tour of duty as Chief of Defense Staff will no doubt be regarded as the most challenging years of his entire military career. This is given the debilitating challenges posed by the Boko Haram insurgency, which stretched the entire military beyond its wits and capabilities. However, it is to the credit of the Nigerian military, led by Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh, who displayed dogged determination and uncommon strength of character, with some officers and men paying the supreme sacrifice with their lives, that Nigeria has been able to contain the rampaging insurgents who had held most parts of the northern part of Nigeria by the jugular since 2009. It could be said that Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh CFR brought to bear in the battle to root out the Boko Haram insurgents all the tricks of the game against all odds of an ill-equipped military, low morale, and inadequate welfare. In this circumstance, however, Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh, the retiring service chiefs in the Air Force, Army, and the Nigerian Navy, and indeed the nation's military under his command, have left the scene gallantly with their heads held high as worthy officers of the military. That must have been the spirit that permeated the air at the Mogadishu Military Cantonment Parade Ground, Abuja, where the pulling up parade of Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh CFR, the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, took place on Thursday, 30th July 2015. The very clement weather was equally complemented by the presence of officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces from the three arms, the Army, Air Force, and the Nigerian Navy, most of whom appeared in their ceremonial dress, in which they looked very smart. Of course, that's one occasion that usually brings together under one arena members of the military and their civilian friends, and in this instance, mainly from the members of the family of the retiring Chief of Defense Staff. In attendance at the event were former Chiefs of Defense Staff, serving and retired military officers, service chiefs, and other high-ranking military officers. Also in attendance were the new service chiefs for the Army, Major General Tukur Burtai; for the Air Force, Air Vice Marshal Sadiq Abubakar; the Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Ibok Ete Ekwe Ibas; and Inspector General of Police, Mr. Solomon Arase, as well as heads of paramilitary agencies, members of the National Assembly, and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Defense, who was represented. Any day at all, in whatever circumstance, the parade of the Nigerian military is a beauty and exciting spectacle to behold. This was again put on display to the admiration of the audience before the event formally took off. The main highlight of the very colorful event was the review of the parade by the guest of honor and the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh, CFR, retired. This took him on the Land Rover around the length and breadth of the arena as he waved to respond to the pleasantries from the cheering officers and men, as well as civilians in the audience. Following that was a spectacular march past that saw the military in another display of their mastery of the game, which has set them apart as a force to reckon with not only in the sub-region but as an emerging power in the world. Such moments usually evoke mixed feelings in both serving and retired officers. For the retired officers, such trigger off nostalgic feelings of the good old days when men were boys, as they say. Airchief Marshal Alex Sabundu Badeh, CFR, was born in Bentim, Mubi North Local Government Area of Adamawa State on the 10th of January 1957. He was admitted into the Nigerian Defense Academy as a member of the 21 regular course on the 3rd of January 1977 and was commissioned a pilot officer on the 3rd of July 1979. He started his flying career at the 301 Flying Training School, Kaduna, in the Bulldog 123 Primary Trainer Aircraft in 1979. Between 1981 and 1982, he attended the undergraduate pilot training at the Vance Air Force Base in the United States of America. Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh is a qualified flying instructor who has accumulated over 6,000 flying hours on the Bulldog 123, Donia 1236, Hawker Sydney 1000, Falcon 900, and Gulfstream 5 airplanes. Air Chief Marshal Badeh has extensive experience in other national flight operations and has flown to all continents of the world. Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh attended the National War College, now National Defense College, as a member of Course 14 and graduated in August 2006. He obtained an MSc degree in Strategic Studies from the University of Ibadan in 2007. Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh commanded the Presidential Air Fleet from June 2002 to October 25, 2004. He was Director, National Military Strategy at the National Defense College, Chief of Policy and Plans at the Nigeria Air Force Headquarters between 2010 and March 2012, and later Air Officer Commanding Training Command, Kaduna. He was appointed the 18th Chief of Air Staff on the 4th of October 2012, a post he held until his appointment as Chief of Defense Staff on the 16th of January 2014. Air Chief Marshal Badeh's hobbies include watching and playing the game of golf. In his valedictory speech, the former Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh, regretted the neglect of the Nigerian military by successive governments. He said the peacetime should have been used for the training and equipping of the military in readiness for the challenges that may arise at war times, such as we have found ourselves now. In terms of manpower and equipment, the Nigerian military could have done a lot better by his estimation. Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh therefore solicited increased funding for the military to put it back in a better shape.
Occasions such as this usually afford one the opportunity to reflect on the past, share experiences, as well as project into the future. Looking back at the years I spent in the service, I can only say I have had the most exciting life anyone could ever wish for. My life in the service has been full of excitement, opportunities, as well as challenges. The opportunities I had to be trained as a pilot and have flown to all the continents of the world, as well as working in various capacities with some of the best and most patriotic members of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, are memories that I will always cherish for the rest of my life. As an instructor pilot, I had the awesome privilege of contributing to the production of numerous pilots for the Nigerian Air Force, some of whom are today occupying very important positions in the Nigerian military. Also, the opportunity I had to serve as a directing staff and ultimately as the director, National Military Strategy at the National Defense College, afforded me the opportunity to contribute to the development of strategic leaders for the armed forces. Furthermore, the opportunities I had to serve as Chief of Air Staff and Chief of Defense Staff have exposed me to the challenges of managing national institutions like the military in a very complex society like Nigeria, where divergent interests coupled with political, religious, and tribal affiliations often conflict with national interest. Despite the challenges, however, we remained focused in the task at hand, as a result of which we were able to record some modest achievements.
Air Chief Marshal Barde said that fighting of the Boko Haram insurgents should be a collective battle in which all Nigerians should support the military. He said no nation can attain its full security potentials while depending solely on foreign countries.
The modest successes we recorded in the fight against terror, I must say that the task of coordinating the military and other security agencies in the fight against insurgents is perhaps the most complex and challenging assignment I have had in my over 38 years in the service. For the first time, I was head of military that lacked the relevant equipment and motivation to fight an enemy that was invisible and embedded with the local populace. Added to this was the exploitation of various national security issues by a section of the press and the political class to gain political mileage. Furthermore, the activities of fifth columnists in the military and other security agencies who leaked operational plans and other sensitive military information to the terrorists combined to make the fight against insurgents particularly difficult. The activities of these unpatriotic members of the military not only blunted the activities of the fight, but also led to the needless deaths of numerous officers and men who unwittingly fell into ambushes prepared by terrorists who had advanced warnings of the approach of such troops. The decision by certain countries to deny us weapons to prosecute the war also added to the challenges we faced. Despite these challenges, I am glad to note that a lot was achieved during my time in the fight against terror.
Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh looked forward to the Nigerian military returning to what it used to be in those days, when the military was a special attraction to the young people because of the adequate care given to the welfare of the military, so much so that one will be driven by the patriotic spirit to lay down one's life for one's country.
As I finally disengage, I have this final message for my countrymen and women and the armed forces of Nigeria. I want to state emphatically that no nation can achieve its full security potentials by totally depending on other nations for its defense needs. The lessons of the Civil War and the ongoing war against terror, where certain countries frustrated our attempts to procure much needed weapons, are very instructive. Again, as I have always said, when a nation is at war, it is not the military alone that is at war. It is the entire nation.
With Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh and his wife on a mounted Land Rover, the ceremonial pulling out parade of the four-star general, who came so unconquered in only 18 months in office, began with officers from the rank of Major General and the equivalent in the Air Force and the Nigerian Navy, fully engaged in the exercise, which took the form of a slow march from the Mogadishu Cantonment Parade Ground, Abuja, to the command officer's mess premises. Here, a brief reception was held to entertain guests, where a special presentation was made to the retiring Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh. In his remarks at the very brief event, he thanked God for sparing his life to finish his tour of duty in the Nigerian military, which spanned 38 years in good health, as he returns to his family in Yola, Adamawa State for a well-deserved rest. As Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh bows out as the 15th Chief of Defense Staff, he'll be remembered for a long time to come for the establishment of the Armed Forces of Nigeria radio station, the first in the history of Nigeria, if not Africa, among many achievements.
Distinguished invited guests, I want to thank you for coming. And as I bow out, I am not too far away. I'm only a phone call away. Gentlemen, I am on my way to Yola. I bid you farewell, and I say thank you for all the love. Thank you for all the spirit of camaraderie. When next you see me amongst you as a civilian, we shall greet. We are still friends, but I am at the background. Don't come and tell me what to do, because that will be gossip. I won't be able to carry it. So CDS, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Air Staff, CDI, representative of the IGP, my dear friends, all of you, I bid you farewell, and I say thank you, God be with all of you as I leave you behind.
Biskin Communications wishes Air Chief Marshal Alex Badeh a happy retirement.